I'm David Swafford with Facebook, and this is my first time here at Telecoms and Technologies WDM conference. And I found it very interesting, actually. So I'm more of the data center side, more of the routing and switching kind of guy. So optical has been something a little new to me, and it's been very cool. I've met like a handful of vendors here, like Xterra and Corient, for example, and I've been seeing like lots of very interesting innovations going on and learning quite a bit. Like, it's a very useful experience. So within the data centers, we have lots and lots of fiber like pulled everywhere, kind of like what you might imagine, on just a massive scale. And one of the big problems we face within the data center specifically is that we change how the fiber is ran pretty frequently, almost in terms of like changing your topologies, just simply on almost like a redesign phase, like every so often, like almost on the scale of months, you might say. So one big problem we have is that reacting to different changes of traffic shifts and profiles is that the biggest delay is literally manually repatching fibers around, or doubling capacity here and cutting it in half there. So one of the things that's really interesting to kind of like look at is how we can be more automated in that, and how we can kind of like get a little more efficient on that regard. Between data centers, though, that's another big problem, but it's a little more predictable because it obviously takes a lot more time to provision and manage that, so it's kind of a lot more controlled, I would say. I would say in the next 5 years, the big push on the data center side is going to be going line rate 40 gig everywhere, and then quickly going into more of the 100, or maybe even jumping to the 400. So on, like, for example, top of rack switching, we have lots of 10 gig today, but everything's starting to trickle in where 40 is actually relatively priced the same, which is awesome because then we'll just adopt that quickly, and we have servers that are ready to push 40 when we're ready. I'd say more longer on the 5-year mark. The one thing that's awesome to see that's kind of really coming to be important to everybody is power efficiency. So one thing that with 100 gig when it first came out were these giant transceivers. Similar to the way 10 gig came out many years ago was also the giant transceivers, which you could only get a few to a card, and then they obviously took a lot of power. As I've noticed that we're like quickly evolving a lot faster to be more efficient on small form factors, which is great to see. I would not rule it out if you're not an optical person. So I, for example, focus more on routing and switching and more on the higher levels, and even software on the network side, and had very little background of optical before this. It is very interesting to see what the optical world is doing because we're really converging as network engineers. Like 5-10 years ago, I would have never thought of getting involved deeply in the optical planning of a data center. Whereas today, we're working together with all the teams to kind of come up with a common strategy across both the backbone and in the data center. So I strongly recommend it to everybody. I would say one thing that has helped me is knowing that I came in with limited optical background. I actually took the advantage to research and see what was out there and what the industry's kind of doing ahead of time, which gave me a little bit of a knowledge to be ready for it. But I'd say it's definitely useful for anyone that's not deep in optical already.